Do Your Job Wrestling Hour with your host, the ConKaiserdor and old school Avis Hathaway. Pin me, pay me. Do your job. Pin me, pay me. Do your job. Pin me, pay me.
Welcome to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. I am the ConKaiserdor. Alongside me is old school Avis Hathaway. We kind of had some technical difficulties to start off the show here. We apologize in advance for those technical difficulties, but we're going to have a great show tonight. We have with us in just a little bit here from WWE Tough Enough, we have Ryan Howe, a.k.a. Skidmarks. It's going to be a great show tonight. Old school, man, what's up tonight, bud?
Hey, man, past a little bit of technical difficulties, but, you know, that's live radio. What are you going to do? You know, everything's going pretty well this evening. We've got WWE's Capital Punishment going on right now. We'll try to touch on later if we can. We had a great interview with Ryan Howe from Tough Enough tonight, which, you know, very excited for.
Yeah, absolutely, bud. I'm really excited for the interview as well. It should be a great show. I'm really looking forward to it. And I also look forward to the edited version of the show where you can fix the beginning of it because I have no idea what happened. I know I was using Blog Talk's new beta version of this studio that they have, and I don't know. Maybe it hasn't been fully tested with all the bugs yet. I don't know, but there's definitely some viruses there, I think.
Well, oddly enough, my Blog Talk radio website itself has also crashed at the same time, and that still is not yet reloaded. Everything else is working fine on my other websites. Got Twitter going, but if I'm not in the chat room, I'll try to be as soon as possible to field your questions for Ryan Howe. It's just having some issues, I guess, tonight.
Yeah, some minimal issues, but, you know, we got the show on the air, so that's all that counts, and I'm calling from another phone here because, you know, it's weird. I tried calling from Google Voice as well as from the landline, and nothing was working. So very, very bizarre to start off this night's show. So, you know, we haven't had technical difficulties in a while, so I guess we were due.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, it's, again, live radio. What are you going to do? Exactly,
guys. It's like being at a live Bill Maher show where people scream out things, you know. You never know what's going to happen, you know. It's live TV, live radio. It's all the same shit. But going to have a great night of wrestling talk. Like we said, we have Ryan Howe coming on the show in just a little bit here. But I did want to announce to our listeners that, yes, I know the Miami Heat did not win the finals. So thank you for all your concerns and prayers and everything that you had done for me because, you know, it was definitely a tremendous loss. So, you know, all I can say is go Heat next season. Anyways, now that I got that off my chest, guy, we do have Capital Punishment going on right now, and seems like an all right pay-per-view.
Yeah, it does, and I actually want to touch on one non-wrestling related issue first, too, if you don't mind, if you'll indulge me. To anyone who watches the show Game of Thrones, from last week's episode, I just want to say, what the fuck? Anyway, now, moving on to Capital Punishment.
Hold on. I told you about Game of Thrones. Isn't that show amazing?
It's, you know what? It's one of the best shows on TV. I like it almost as much as True Blood. It's 1B to my True Blood's 1A. But I'm completely and supremely hooked and addicted to Game of Thrones. And I was in the Keys last weekend, so I didn't catch last week's episode until Tuesday. And my jaw dropped. I don't want to spoil anything for maybe anybody who watched it and hasn't seen that episode yet. Tonight's the season finale, so right after the show I'll be you know, watching that. But Jesus Christ, there's more curveballs in that than a Major League Baseball game, I guess.
Yeah, man, it's insane. And I was blown away when they killed off Ned Stark. I mean, I just couldn't believe that happened.
I just said I wasn't going to give any spoilers, and then you just throw it right out there for everybody.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
it happened last week. That's not a spoiler. It already happened.
Well, I said to anybody who may not have yet checked out the last week's episode.
Wait a second.
Just the cat's out of the bag. Wait.
Hold on a second, guy. If you haven't watched last week's episode and you're a fan of the show, then you deserve to know what happened by now.
Well, fair fair enough. Yeah, my jaw dropped when that happened. I thought for sure they were not going to kill him off. He is the main character of the show. But, I guess you never know.
It was awesome. So, yeah, as soon as the show's over tonight, we'll be watching the show as well. And that's the beauty of having the DVR.
And True Blood starts next week, so, we're going to have to figure out what's what. We got True Blood, our fan base may dwindle.
True Blood, I really did enjoy, where we are up until this point, but they've had some really dull moments, and I hope they can come back and really deliver a great season, because last season was a little weak.
The thing about last season was it was a little bit weak, but my favorite character, Russell, the King of Mississippi, he came in last week, and I think he's the best character on the show, so you take the good with the bad.
I definitely do enjoy his character, and, I don't know, Bill Compton's a little corny for me, but,
Well, Bill Compton seems to be turning bad, but I think before we turn this into a Rotten Tomatoes type of show, we should probably move on to wrestling talk.
Yeah, we're turning into this, it's an HBO talk, we're kind of giving them a push here, a little plug all night. So, yeah, man, hey, if I can give a plug here, guess what's going to happen tomorrow night?
What is happening tomorrow night in ConKaiserdor?
Tomorrow night, guy, yours truly, the ConKaiserdor, is Raw here in Baltimore. I will be at Raw for the 3-hour spectacular, guy. And you know what? We went out, bought our poster boards and our extra thick Sharpie markers, and we're making our signs, guy.
I do hope there will be a sign for none other than Zack Ryder.
I was thinking about a Zack Ryder sign, but I don't know, guy. We'll see. Of course, if I was going to make a sign for any of the guys on the roster, it would be Zack Ryder. But, I'm not too sure right now.
I have a request.
Go ahead.
I would like for you to make a sign for me, and I'm hoping to see this on Raw tomorrow, that says, "Bring back Thurman Sparky Plug." Can you do that for me?
The last time I did that, I got the finger guy, but he's not there anymore.
I know. So I'm hoping to see I hope to scan the crowd and see a Thurman Sparky Plug sign.
Well, we'll see what happens, bud. I don't know if that's the sign I'm going to have, but I'm definitely going to be making a ConKaiserdor is Raw sign, as well as a Do Your Job Wrestling Hour sign, to plug our own show. Hopefully they won't confiscate that from me.
Well, you never know what they'll confiscate, because, I hear they confiscate Zack Ryder signs, but you sure see them, find their way on the Raw.
Well, guy, I
got one more sign
you like. Huh?
You're gonna be sign guy Dudley. I want one more sign. I want you to make another sign that says Randy Orton is just terrible. Just nice and simple to the point.
I don't know if I can do that, bud. I really don't know if I could. I don't want to waste it. I paid $3 per poster board. I'm not wasting money on that. Come on, guy. Hey,
anyway, we should
quick.
probably get yes.
Hey, you're the one getting off topic here, bud. And also, I do need to tell you that I've been told by some of our every week listeners, the diehard Do Your Job Wrestling Hour fans, that we seem to agree too much, guy. Why do you always agree with me all the time?
Well, hold on. Let's backtrack a sec. Did you say by our ethnic listeners?
No, I said diehard listeners. I didn't say ethnic.
I'm going to listen back to that, because I swear to God I thought you just said your ethnic listeners. And I was going to say, what in the hell are you talking about? Well, the reason we agree a lot is because when it comes to the wrestling business, it's pretty easy to agree that a lot of the shit is terrible and a lot of, what's good is good. That said, I think it's also easy to agree that you copy my opinions, and that's okay.
I copy your opinion? I didn't realize you even had an opinion.
Hey,
all right,
easy
guys,
thing
you know what? Listen, you're right. It's easy to
copy
a failure. You're
absolutely
correct.
On me now? So it's happening?
No, guy, this isn't an old school Avis Hathaway shoot. If I really wanted to shoot on you, I would just play your theme song.
Are you? I was thinking maybe you were going to do a YouTube Ultimate Warrior video on me. You know, I can be the Hogan, you can be the Warrior.
Oh my God, dude! Don't even get me started on that. I mean, what a waste of your time. I mean, listen, it's all well and good that the Warrior's still out and about and he's actually, you know, doing stuff. But I mean, oh my God, he's just like terrible, absolutely terrible. It's like, I mean, do people really care about that?
It seems to be big news, but it's also been a slow news week. I mean, long story short, there's really not too much to get into on that. Ultimate Warrior's off the reservation. He has been for many years. He's saying Hogan was having, you know, orgies with Linda, and, you know, he's into drugs and, you know, God knows what else. And you know what? If half of the shit Warrior says is true, it's still pretty bad, but you got to take anything Warrior says with a grain of salt. That guy he's really out to lunch, and he has been for a lot of years.
Oh, definitely. He totally is, man. He's been off his rocker for a long time. And, you know, listen, I understand that you want to share, you know, what you call a shoot with wrestling fans and kind of clear the air, so to speak. And it's like, listen, you know, I want Hogan to go away, and I want Warrior to go away. And the more that they come out and do this kind of stuff, it really just makes you hate their legacy. I mean, listen, I'll always be a fan and a mark, you know, of how they were back in the day. But the more I see their face, the more I'm just like, you know what, I'm tired of seeing you and hearing from you.
Well, that goes to that end. I mean, that goes to the point of how TNA and to some degree WWE uses guys. I mean, Hulk Hogan, if he were to go away for 2-3 years and then show up, people would explode. Same as with Ric Flair, same as with Sting, same as with, you know, a lot of guys. But it's overexposure. You know, a lot of the guys, they really don't know when to hang them up. And, you know, they don't hang them up in time, so they get watered down, and that legacy kind of never builds the way it should. You know, you look at guys from the 80s that you look upon fondly, and, you know, even The Rock. Look at the reaction The Rock got at WrestleMania. He'd been gone for, 6 years. If The Rock was still on TV, you know, every couple months showing up, people really wouldn't care. You know, so, there's The Rock again. And that's kind of how it's become with Hogan and Flair and Sting and, you know, a lot of these guys, it's like, okay, it's old hat. Yes, it's great. He needs to hang it up.
Right. You're absolutely right, guy. It's just I didn't even want to watch it, and I watched part of it, and it was edited so badly. I mean, shit, it looked like a Raiders, you know, TV production project. It was just terrible. And you know, speaking of terrible, you know, did you watch the most recent Impact?
No, you know what, I actually didn't. I saw the results to the pay-per-view, but I did not take the time to watch Impact because anymore, I mean, I watch, you know, a cooking show on Food Network before I watch Impact because Impact is just the same shit every week.
Oh, yeah, definitely is. It's, man, you know, I'll always DVR it because I'm a wrestling fan. I know as you are as well. So we'll always watch it, whether it's good or bad. I mean, just like when WCW was around, even towards the end, it was just terrible. But the thing is, man, is, you know, you watch their programming and then you look at WWE, and I know they're different. They're a different show altogether. But WWE is heading in the right direction. TNA is heading backwards. Every guy they seem to push is a guy who's been doing it for so many years. It's like you can't keep pushing these guys constantly and going for the belt and having them being your main storyline. Yeah, you can throw in some other guys here and there, but it seems like there's still no rhyme or reason. Like there's no real build-up to their storylines. And if there is, you know, it's like sometimes it's not even enough to get you to care about it.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing with TNA, and I mean, they have a laundry list of problems to go through. It's not like you could. I mean, we need a 3-hour spectacular really to just scratch the surface. But, you know, like you said, it's the thing is TNA has some of their great own homegrown stars. You know, the AJ Styles is, even the Daniels, who's getting a little bit up there, but still. I mean, you have guys, the Samoa Joes, I know he's Ring of Honor, but I mean, you know, you got guys like that you could, Robert Roode, I mean, guys keep popping to mind, that you could market the shit out of. Even James Storm, and you could build your company around. And I understand they're not the names. I understand you need certain big-name guys to draw the casual fans in, but you don't need to center the company around it. Those guys should be putting over the Robert Roodes and the guys like that. So that's my problem A with it. Problem B is this whole rebranding, Impact Wrestling, Wrestling Matters here, you know, bullshit. Because the thing is, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it. You change the name of your show to Impact Wrestling. You change your tagline to Wrestling Matters. But if you watch Impact, it's the exact same show it was 6 months ago, where there's 20 minutes of matches and an hour and 40 minutes of backstage and talking. And, you know, it's not necessarily that that's a bad thing per se, but you're going to center your company around this whole Wrestling Matters hoopla. You know, you need to back it up.
Right. Oh, yeah, man, you're absolutely right. They go back to Wrestling Matters, and, you know, all this stuff. But in reality, they have way too much talking for a show that promotes Wrestling Matters as much as they do. And too many old guys wrestling, guys that have already been in the spotlight that don't need to be there anymore. And, yeah, I mean, they put the belt on Mr. Anderson now, and now you're going to have Kurt Angle go after the belt, and that's exciting because we haven't seen that, you know, already. And Sting's still going after the belt, and Angle's still feuding with Jeff Jarrett, who, you know, okay, I'm excited about that feud again. And I mean, it's just like same stuff. And now they bring back Jacqueline back into the Knockouts division. I mean, I don't understand why they can't produce new talent.
Well, I mean, with Jacqueline, I don't really have a problem with her per se, because I mean, I think she's still got enough to offer. And the Divas are Knockouts. They're a little bit different to me because they're not really a centerpiece, and most of them are recycled so quickly that, you know, they're never like in. It's not like you know, somebody that's a main eventer that's been in that promotion for years and years and years, and then they're, you know, they choose to bring them in to build the company around them. But, you know, like I said, I think you got to find that balance when you're an upstart wrestling promotion. I understand bringing in guys of name value. You know, the casual fan hears Sting is in TNA. It's like, oh, shit, I like Sting. I remember Sting in WCW. Let me take a look. Kurt Angle, same thing. But at the same time, you got to use those guys wisely. You got to use those guys to elevate your own guys so that it doesn't look like a B league. Because when you have a league of guys, a promotion full of the AJ Styles and the Robert Roodes, and they constantly play second fiddle to WWE cast-offs, all it does is enforce the notion that WWE is the major leagues and TNA is the minor leagues. Because a guy leaves WWE and he walks into TNA and he's the champ, you know, or he's automatically right at the top of the heap. And that makes TNA look weak because it's basically saying, well, we're number two, we're a second fiddle to these guys, so we're going to bring in these guys and they're going to be, you know, they're going to be in the title hunt when our guys are lower mid-card.
Exactly. You're absolutely right, Guy. And while we're waiting here for Ryan Howe to join the show here, I did want to share with our listeners who did not order the Capital Punishment pay-per-view but did want to know what's going on. It looks like here that Dolph Ziggler is the new U.S. champion by knockout. He wins the U.S. belt, so congratulations to him. And looks like R-Truth arrived in the limb tonight, Guy.
Well, touching on the Dolph Ziggler thing, I actually don't have a problem with him winning the belt because I like Kofi, but Kofi's character is kind of the same thing over and over again. I don't think he really needs the belt, whereas I think it gives Ziggler a little bit more of something to do. As far as R-Truth can do no wrong in my eyes right now, so I honestly think he is the best going in wrestling today right now.
You know, it's funny because R-Truth dedicated his victory tonight to all the little Jimmies.
You know, he is. You know, we had a conversation the other day, maybe it was even yesterday, about R-Truth a little bit. You know, that when he came out in the Civil War uniform, and you know, when they had the plant fans in Nebraska, and he was, you know, throwing the soda in the face of the one. He is doing the best work of his career, and R-Truth is no young guy. He's been around a long time. between K-Quick and Ron Killings and TNA. I mean, that guy's been around, and he's finally been given a gimmick and given a character that he can run with. And, that it happens. You see that happen sometimes. Guys like Steve Austin. I mean, that guy was around forever before he finally got a character he could really sink his teeth into. And I think R-Truth right now is doing the best work in wrestling today, WWE or otherwise.
Oh, yeah. He's been hilarious, guy. And I think almost Kofi Kingston needs a heel turn. I mean, he's doing the same gimmick for a little while now, and I've had enough of him being a good guy. He needs to be an asshole for a while and get. They need some good heels, man.
Well, I don't disagree with you with Kofi. The thing is, I was intrigued with Kofi when they did that brief little character development with it, when he was feuding with Randy Orton briefly, you remember, and he was destroying the car that Legacy gave him, and he was almost turning into a, instead of being the friendly, happy-go-lucky, do my boom squad thing, he was turning into a little bit darker of a, don't mess with me kind of guy, and I liked that. I thought it was real interesting, but they abandoned it pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right, bud. Also, looks like Alex Riley beat The Miz, guy. He went over The Miz, and the crowd went nuts. So Alex Riley getting a big push.
I think it's smart. I think that's absolutely smart to do, because The Miz is one of those guys, he's hot right now as a heel, and he doesn't need to win. Miz could probably lose every match from here to WrestleMania and still be hot as a heel. He just has.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
So I think it's incredibly smart to try to elevate a guy like Riley off The Miz. Because, like I said, The Miz doesn't need the win. Riley kind of does need the win to keep the momentum going. And the crowd right now is responding to Riley. And I don't know whether so much it's that Riley's that good or they hate The Miz that much. I think it's probably a combination of both. But I think it's great because, honestly, I think Alex Riley has all the potential in the world.
Also, guy, looks like Sergeant Slaughter was backstage dressed. He was backstage with an Obama impersonator, so that's interesting. And Alberto Del Rio versus The Big Show. I wonder who won that match. Alberto Del Rio. And Wade Barrett versus Ezekiel Jackson for the IC title. And we have a new Intercontinental Champion, Ezekiel Jackson.
Well, I'm a little surprised they switched both belts, both second-tier belts. I want to cut in real quick and let you and everybody else know that's messaged me. I'm still having troubles with the chat room. I can see the messages coming in, but for whatever reason, it's not letting me type, and it's the website because everything else is working just fine. But I'm having some issues with Blog Talk, just so everybody knows. I'm a little bit surprised they switched the Intercontinental belts as well. I thought if Ziggler went over, then Barrett would retain, because I really didn't think they'd switch both. I'm okay with Ezekiel Jackson getting the belt. Again, I don't think Wade Barrett really needs it. I think Wade Barrett should be elevated a little bit. He was real hot as a heel, and they kind of pulled the reins back on him, and I'm not sure why. Ezekiel Jackson, he's got the look. He's a big monster guy. He's not terrible in the ring. He's not a world beater, but he's okay. But I think he needs the belt a little bit more than Barrett does to try to get himself over.
Oh, yeah, guy, I definitely concur with you there. I definitely do. I think, I don't know if that was a good move to do just yet, but still, nonetheless, they did it, and I don't know.
Well,
I guess we'll see what they do with it.
Well, yeah, and, speaking to the whole Barrett thing, they broke up the core, and you want to talk about a fall from grace. On SmackDown, Heath Slater and Justin Gabriel went over clean to the Usos, which at its face really I don't have a problem with, because I think the Usos are really good and really talented. But they've buried the Usos, and for them to go over Slater and Gabriel clean on SmackDown, it kind of says a little bit.
Well, I think they're trying to do something with them now, bud. I mean, they're trying to probably turn the Usos' face and do something with them.
Yeah. Well, no, I understand that. But at the same time, the WWE could care less about tag team wrestling. So for them to take these guys, Jimmy and Jay Uso, and have them go over these guys that they've invested a lot of time in, it kind of says something, because whether you're trying to push the Usos or not, there's only so far they're going to push them, because they're not real big on tag team wrestling.
Yeah. Go ahead and keep talking, old school. Tell us something else.
Tell you something else? Are you going to soundbite on? Is that what you're looking for?
No, tell us something else.
Tell us something else? I just think that, Slater and Gabriel, they're going to probably end up being relegated to superstars or sent down pretty soon.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to see what happens, bud. I mean, I don't know. I think the Usos should have a little bit more to do with the show. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I do like the Usos, and I like. We spoke at length with Nui Tofiga about it the other week. That tag team wrestling is kind of a lost art, and I'm all for them doing something with the Usos.
Yeah, I am too. I think they lack the tag teams, and I think even TNA. I mean, I love tag team wrestling, but I think when it comes to TNA and WWE, it's kind of gone by the wayside. I think there's better tag team wrestling on the indie scene than there is in WWE or TNA. There just isn't much with it, and it's also awkward seeing Bully Ray and Devon wrestling kind of as singles again, and I mean, I think it's all well and good they're trying to push Bully Ray and stuff, but I mean, it's just they should be pushing their youth, their younger guys going over. I don't understand. I mean, yeah, they're feuding him with AJ Styles. I don't understand what that does for Styles.
Well, to Bully Ray's credit, he's also doing some very good work. I'm kind of impressed with him as a singles guy because he's always been a tag team guy. I think he's doing, he's slimmed down, he looks real good, he's doing pretty well. But to your point, I don't think it really does anything for AJ one way or the other.
No.
It
definitely does not.
He's a tag team guy, so AJ going over him, it makes it okay. He went over a tag team guy. It's not like if he were to be going over Kurt Angle or something like that.
Folks, we'll be right back with Skidmarks, Ryan Howe from WWE's Tough Enough. To the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. Ryan Howe, known as Skidmarks. What's going on here tonight, man?
Hey, what's going on, man?
I thought you tapped out, bud. It's 9:30.
Oh, you know what? This time zone stuff really messed with me. I'm actually in Chicago today, and I'm looking at the clock thinking 9 o'clock, and it is Central Time here. So that's my bad.
No worries.
But you know what? That's me getting back at you for calling me Skidmarks, so it's all good.
We did leave you a message on the air, so you're actually the first guest we tried to call, and only because your voicemail is the best.
Okay, good. So what's up, guys? Yeah, sorry about this. This has been, I think never really an issue with shows and getting dates that way, but with this radio stuff, I tell you what, these time zones are really messing with me.
Yeah, I definitely can imagine. But we're glad to have you on the show, and we're looking forward to having you on. Definitely should be awesome, man. So, we have a lot of people listening to the show who are big fans of WWE Tough Enough, and also big fans of yours. As many people who watched the show really liked you a lot and thought you had a great character and a lot of charisma, and were really funny on the show. And can you tell us how it all came about? How you got involved with Tough Enough?
Yeah, absolutely. They, of course, have been wrestling about, this winter was only 2 years in the business, and I was lucky enough to get contacted just via an email message that just said, hey, me and both my girlfriend, Jessie Bell, Tracy Smothers' daughter, had both gotten emails that said, they thought would be great for the show, and they're actually at first kind of interested in a little bit of a couples angle with us, which was kind of cool. And eventually, I kind of kept getting called back, and they decided not to do the two of us last minute and picked me, and that's how I got it,
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I know that you are in a relationship with Tracy Smothers' daughter. How's that? Has he trained you at all? Have you worked with him at all in the ring?
Yeah, Tracy. Yes, he actually. It was a huge part of my training development as far as is going from just kind of local talent learning to getting like national exposure, across the whole country. Basically, around this time last year, in fact, I think it was in June, I had been given the opportunity to go to Evansville, Indiana, to work with him, and I think I talked with him maybe 10 minutes before the show started, and he just brought the promoter over and was like, I like this kid, I'm going to drop the belt from tonight, all this stuff, and asked if I could come back next week, and I kept coming back, every week and working with them, and then, of course, Jesse said they'd be on their loops were kind of last Wednesday through Sunday, and she said they'd be on a loop somewhere in North Carolina or wherever on Saturday, and he'd be, after seeing me Wednesday, he'd be like, I like that Diamond Kid, what do you think of him, You think he's cute, don't you? And he actually ended up playing kind of a matchmaker with us, I remember after she told him that she thought I was cute, I think that week he told her, he's like, all right, well, we're gonna kiss spot. You're gonna kiss her here, And
nice.
he really went all out. So personally and professionally, I have a lot to thank him for, and owe a lot to him just for that. A lot of the psychology of the business, and just going on the road, and learning how to do it. Just full time, or try to, anyways. It was something that was really cool. Just really neat insight, and very fortunate to have him helping me out like that.
You said he liked you, because that was going to be my next question, is with you dating his daughter, did he work kind of stiff with you in the ring?
No, and I was scared to death, because it's not like I didn't, like her in the first place, you know what I mean? She's a very attractive girl, and I was like, man, I hope he doesn't think I'm looking at her funny. And sure enough, though, that's what was kind of cool about it, is he was the one that really pushed it. She didn't want anything to do with any of. She said she didn't want to date any of the boys. She said she didn't want anything to do with any, guys in the business. She just wanted to work and be professional. And every time he tried putting me off on her, she said, no, he's one of the boys. And I guess Tracy kind of was able to explain to her that I think his final thing was, well, see, he's not one of the boys yet, because he hasn't been in the business long enough. You can catch him before he becomes one of the boys. That was the selling point.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know that on TV, obviously there seemed to be a lot of heat between you and Bill DeMott, which really, it really made for good TV. Watching you guys kind of go back and forth, and him kind of ripping on you all the time. Can you tell us how that whole experience was for you, and how much of that was actually real heat?
Oh yeah, every bit of it was 100% real as far as the heat goes with it. It was one of the most intense, frustrating experiences of my life, probably the most, just trying to, never being right or having a question. And no matter what the question was that I'd ask Bill, it would be wrong. Like, I could be wrong. I didn't know there were wrong questions, but apparently there are. It was kind of that relationship, and it's still, it's just the way it is, He called me Skidmarks, and unfortunately, if that sticks to me forever, I guess I'll just have to prove Bill wrong down the road,
Right, exactly. It really captured the attention of a lot of people. That seemed to be, it seemed like everyone was looking forward to the finale of who was actually picked. But I think that was a lot of people's favorite part, just kind of talking to different people who are wrestling fans that we associate with. They really seemed to like the whole Bill DeMott storyline between, well, really not much story, but kind of what was going on between you two on the show. It really made for some good TV.
Yeah, absolutely. It was.
Have you had it?
It was.
Oh no, sorry.
I would say it's kind of a real good example of just any real life experience. People can relate to it or whatever. They've got that bully or whatever, or it could even be their boss they don't like at work, and that's. That was kind of that relationship with Bill. It was just I never knew what I did wrong. I just knew it was always wrong, and whether there's any correcting it or not, I have a feeling it would have never been right no matter what. So you just take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of leads into my next question. Is, you know, you always hear with TV, and especially with reality TV, you kind of see what the producers want you to see, and, you know, because of editing, that sort of thing. Watching the show, I know myself, my wife, and a lot of people that have watched the show I've talked to kind of feel like you above everybody else, also AJ a little bit, kind of got the short end of the stick. Like, it seems like from the get-go, I don't say they picked on you, but they kind of picked you as, we're going to fuck with this guy. You know, we're going to mess with him. We're really going to, you know, we're really going to give it to him. You know, is that kind of how it seemed, or was it editing that kind of that turned it that way? Because like you said, it seemed like really it doesn't matter what you said or did. You kind of got the short end of the stick.
Oh, yeah. You hit the nail on the head there, man. Exactly. I mean, absolutely is how I felt. It was from the day one I walked in, had not said a word to Bill DeMott, absolutely nothing. And when it was time for me to get in the ring, he just said, Skidmarks, you're up, you know. And I knew, I was like, this is just, and that's the feeling I had. It was just always kind of, we're really going to give this guy a hard time and see if mentally if he can handle this, you know what I mean? And that's all I could say about it. And I remember, you know, just sitting there at the house thinking, man, what am I going to do to get out of this? Like, I told everybody it was like a kind of starting behind the eight ball, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's how it seemed. Like I said, it seemed like you really, it didn't matter what you said or did. Like, because I remember, I think it was Michael, the guy's name, when he Stone Cold had you deliver promos. You've delivered an incredibly good promo, like a shit-hot promo, if you ask me. And, you know, it seemed like, hey, he did a good promo, and that was great for 5 minutes, and then it was right back to, you know, quote, Skidmarks is messing up, and Skidmarks, like, did it kind of feel like, oh, you really can't do any, you know, it doesn't matter what I do, they're gonna pick me apart a little bit.
Yeah, yes, I mean, that's exactly how I felt. So what I had to do was use every little, basically stretch every little bit of positive reinforcement I had, like, you know, the promo that I had with that, like doing really good in the race, that kind of stuff, use every little bit of anything positive I could find, little compliments here and there on work during training, whether it made film for the air or not, and just use that as kind of motivation. And when that ran out, you know, you just have to use the negative stuff turned into kind of a positive thing, I guess, if that makes sense. You know, kind of fuel for the fire, if that.
My next question is kind of a personal opinion question. In watching the show at the end, and I'm sure you were kind of, you know, up to date, well ahead of the rest of us, between Andy and Luke being in the finals, do you feel the right guy won?
Whew, man, that was kind of a, oh man, out of those two, I was kind of saying lose-lose situation, but lesser two evils. I mean, Andy, man, he's got a look or a look. Luke though has, see, to me, Luke's got at least he's got some charisma about him, you know. And Andy's got a good look, and he can work well, and all that. So, I don't know. It's kind of tough to choose. I mean, as a person, obviously, Andy's a little better of a guy, you know. Entertainment aspect, I don't know. I don't know. I wish it would have been me. You know what I mean? And
sure, yeah.
I don't know, but it's. I mean, I guess they both had their own things to offer with it, you know.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I kind of want to ask a follow-up question about that, because the one thing that was a little questionable, at least from a fan's point of view, and also potentially maybe someone who was involved in the show as well, was that Andy, to my knowledge, already had a development deal with FCW. He was already doing shows with them. He was on their website for a while, actually, before Tough Enough came on. Was that any form of conversation or discussion about him already kind of being involved with WWE, and you guys had not been?
No, you know, we hadn't really, nobody ever knew anything about it or talked about it really, but we did know, I think, you know, a couple of the other guys that worked around knew. I mean, Eric, I think, just from working around knew more about the developmental system and that. And, you know, if that's where they found him from, that's fine. You know, that was his foot in the door to get a job for Tough Enough. And maybe just like me traveling everywhere and get my name out there is probably what got me, you know, the spot that I got with it. And I'd say that's that. Now, in his case, he went from there enough back to there, and I don't want to say it. I get a lot of questions. People ask me, well, what was up with that? Was that like an inside weird? Was that planned? No. I mean, it's just it was a competition, and if that was, I mean, FCW, if he was there already and that was his exposure, and that's how he got it. I mean, good for him.
Right. No, definitely a good thing there.
Yeah, I mean, as far as it being mentioned in the house or anything like that, no, we'd never talk about it. I had no clue, and I had only known from the indie circuit. I'd only run into Matt Cross a couple times and Eva Lisa also a couple times in the Chicago area, and that was about it. I didn't know anybody else, and so we just kind of got to know each other, and that was. Andy was one of the, I didn't really talk to him a lot, so like I said, I never learned or knew anything about the developmental deal with him, or as far as working or having any FCW affiliation before. So.
Right. Let me ask you, what was it like your first time? When you guys were brought on Raw with Stone Cold Steve Austin that first time, what was that feeling like?
Oh man, that was that. Walking out there was kind of that. This is what I want to do feeling. I don't know that. I mean, that's just. I felt wasn't nervous. The only time I got nervous was as we're back there and see the other wrestlers coming back, and I think that night we'd walk in the back, walk right past Vince McMahon, and it's kind of like, oh wow, kind of a surreal thing. You don't know how to act, and. But walking out on that stage and seeing those people is just, to me, it was comforting. It wasn't, it was just motivating and kind of like, well, this is why I'm going through what I'm going through and trying to get to where I want to be, which is here. So, kind of all came together and just, I don't know, it's kind of a visual. I was actually in the place. I mean, center of the ring where I want to be every week or every night, performing. So that's cool.
Well, kind of as a follow-up to that, when they brought you out there and they brought you guys into Raw with Stone Cold that first time, did they kind of keep you segregated from the guys in the back, or did you get to kind of to meet some of the guys, pick their brain a little bit, that sort of thing?
It's more we're definitely in that situation. We're guests in their home, so. It's not any of our places to go out of our way, and we're not going to go wandering to catering or their locker rooms and talk to them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
If any superstars came up to us, which a lot of them were really cool, and would come up and talk and ask about our experience on the show, or I mean, obviously before when we first got to Raw, it was asking about what we were going to expect. What was what we thought, just advice, that kind of stuff, and it kind of stands out to people that did come out of their way to do that. It was pretty cool. So,
well, now my next question I have is, I would imagine that since the show has ended, you've gained a little bit more notoriety. Have your bookings kind of blown up? Have you been getting a lot more requests for appearances, that sort of thing?
Yeah. Bookings have been absolutely crazy. I mean, it's cool to take advantage of right now and really get the name out there and work. And to me, experience is in. So many guys say, "Oh, I've got this many years in business or whatever," but to me, it's in experience is how often you work, how much you've worked. And working, having the opportunity to work basically every night of the week right now is awesome, and especially in different parts of the country, new promotions, new faces. It's awesome. So, yeah, a lot of that, like you said, kind of gain notoriety there, and everything from, the respect in the locker room, I've always felt respected and always been respectful to others, and, now more than ever, it's kind of that, people have a million questions about Tough Enough, and I'm more than happy to answer them and give them, just like this, to give them the most real answer I can and say, this is what it was like, and that's what I learned. So.
We are live tonight with Ryan Howe, a.k.a. Skidmarks Diamond Steel from Tough Enough. You're listening to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. If you're listening live, call into the show at 714-694-4101. Also jump into the chat room as well. be able to take your questions live with Ryan on the air. Ryan, I wanted to ask you, what do you think was your biggest success on Tough Enough?
Biggest success, I would say, really good shining moment was definitely the promo against Mike. I mean, that it kind of showed what I'm capable of as far as not just one thing, but everything from my passion, and what the business means to me and what I expect to accomplish in it, why I'm here. But on top of that, the fact that it got charisma across, my personality, who I am, and overall just me, big accomplishment was me just, despite all the crap that was thrown at me on that show and the hard time I was given for whatever, I still stayed, me. I was cool. I wasn't didn't have to turn into a jerk and be, just somebody that I'm not, to get WWE contract or whatever. So.
Right. I understand. We have a question out of the chat room from one of our diehard listeners, Y2 Jibber Jabber. He wants to know if you can share a story of maybe a tale from the road, kind of maybe a good rib story, something that has happened during your career that you can share with us this evening.
Man, there's so many things that we could go on about. I think let's think of something here. A lot of, going back to being on the road with Tracy, that was the first person I'd ever gotten to go on the road with, which is cool. And, kind of being with, we do our loops over the weekend, Wednesday through Sunday and stuff. And I think one of the funniest things, this might have been because it was like one of the first trips I went on, but it was me, Tracy, and then his daughter. And he did not allow his daughter to drive because she was speaking and demon. She got a left foot, And I remember this is more just traveling, and I remember I've never laughed harder in my life. We were rushing back from Virginia to get. He had to get to work, and so did she, and we were just in major hurry. And he drove for a couple hours through the night, and we had like a 14-hour drive or something. I drove for about 8, and then I started getting real tired and falling asleep. So if he was passed out, sleeping, I couldn't drive anymore. I had to have, Jesse drive. So he was driving for about an hour. And to my understanding, during that hour and a half, she was doing like 110. And anyways, I just wake up to him freaking out. He goes, "Whoa, what are you doing? Slow down. And it was just, she went to school and did criminal justice. She was like, it's okay. Shift change. The cops aren't out right now. It's Sunday morning, and it's okay. And he's like, so you're telling me that the cops aren't out and you're not going to get pulled over no matter what? And she's like, no, we can speed. It'll be fine. He's like, we're in construction. She's like, it don't matter. And he's like, all right, well, forget it. Let's do 120, And I remember him actually getting out of the car when we got home and kissing the ground and saying he was being punished for all he's done wrong. And it was just it's something that in my mind I replay and I still just bust out laughing, and it was just I was dead asleep. I woke up and I could not go back to sleep for like this 2-3 hours of her driving and him begging her to let him drive. He's like, it was just so funny. But there's a lot. There's so many first time meeting guys, and Ricky Morton. He's always been so awesome, and just working with him for the first time was one of the funniest things. Oh man, it's a blast. I remember we were at the gathering and meeting all Sabu and Nick Densmore and all these guys, and walking around trying to find. Somehow we lost Gangrel, so we were looking for him, and it's just all kinds of funny things that have happened, and that's part of. On the road all the time, you got to make it fun and enjoy every moment, and just kind of we're all together in this mess, so we work together and have a good time when we do it,
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you're on the road as often as you are, you kind of have to make the best of that situation, and so it definitely sounds like that was a pretty crazy drive that night.
Yeah, it was just funny. I mean, I could go on about it, and there were just some of the funniest things that came. I mean, that he just said that. I mean, I could never ever reenact to make it as funny as it was, but that was like one of the funniest moments of my life. And he just kept saying, he said, God's punishing me. He punished me for everything I did wrong. And I was just laughing so hard, man. Anybody that knows Tracy would just, I mean, they'd know right away that it's one of the funniest things. But yeah, there's met so many awesome people, like the most diverse group of people I've met in wrestling. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, can definitely imagine that. We got another question from the chat from Nick the Dick. He said, if you can steal anyone's finishing move and make as your own, whose would it be?
I would definitely take the. Well, I find myself doing the. For some reason, I've always liked the blockbusters, so I'm taking Buff Bagwell's move all the time. I still do that. I just like it, you know. Steal Buff Bagwell's move with that. But as far as I'm trying to think of a current superstar. Who's would I steal? I mean, Johnny Morrison has one awesome move that he does with the shooting star press. I mean, I would, or the not shooting star, the Starship Pain, I think he calls it. I totally take that corkscrew split leg moonsault. Totally take and steal that. If I could turn back time, 5 years before he did it, or whenever it was that he first did it and do it myself, I'd totally do that. But what are you going to do?
Right.
And that's he's so innovative and creative. You know what I mean? Like that's I'm just trying to think of the most original move I can find, and that by far is one that stands out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a little disappointing when because you hope that everyone can kind of be original to some degree, but when Michelle McCool did the Styles Clash, I mean that's kind of his signature move. I thought that was a little weird.
Oh yeah, I've seen her do that. Yeah, and I know like the first time I saw it, I was like, well, I guess because she's a diva, she can get away with it and work it that way, but it is kind of,
aside from obviously Tough Enough, you got to work with, guys like Stone Cold and Booker T, and being trained by Tracy. Outside of some of those guys, that are, we obviously know from Tough Enough. Who are some of the guys you feel you've had your best matches, on the Indies and outside of Tough Enough with?
Who? Oh man. Mostly trying to think of some guys. I know try to cut down, like itemize the promotions like that I've worked and really pick the best talent I've worked with. Up in Chicago, there's a guy. He works for a group called, or he's trained by a group called Howe, and his name is Justin James. We get some really good matches together. He's a real good worker. Down in Evansville, Indiana, Micus is a great worker. He works with the great Micus, and he's just great shape, good condition. I'm just thinking of other independent guys that, where I'm at. And it's, some of my favorite matches, of course, with Tracy, Ricky. I just got to actually work with Cowboy Bob, which was, freaking awesome experience to work with him this weekend. And, you just learn a lot listening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best thing it's just absolutely amazing. Another great guy that I've loved, probably the favorite person to work with, two of my favorites are Sean Casey and Chase Stevens. They're both absolutely awesome. Just learn a lot from them and also have really good matches, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you work so many different guys, so many different styles, and so many different promotions. I know a lot of the guys you've had on the show, we asked that question too, and it's so hard to kind of narrow it down to just one or two. It's, sometimes, they wind up naming several different guys, and obviously, you're in the ring with so many different, awesome talents. It's always a hard question to answer.
Absolutely. I mean, the way I just did it now is I went basically from when I began training to recently. I just tried to pick the big, the kind of people that stood out from different periods of wherever I worked in this certain area or whatever, But yeah, I just trying to think of a couple good independent guys. But yeah, I think by far the best, most memorable matches you're talking any vet, just been there and knows, it has a really good understanding and knowledge of everything. Just and willing to pass it on is, leaps and bounds the best thing for any independent worker,
Right. Speaking of great wrestling talents, who are some of the guys who influenced you the most, for your career?
Man, growing up, I wanted to be the Warrior. I wanted to be Macho Man. I wanted to be Shawn Michaels. Those three guys stand out all the time. Even Shawn Michaels, I wasn't as into until I gotten older, and especially when I got into wrestling, actually doing it. That's of course, and I was like, oh wow, this guy's great, But yeah, as a kid, man, I think I was always such a huge fan of that caricature, like that larger than life cartoon kind of image. Those really over the top character based, gimmicks. Macho Man was just, yeah, I think he was probably top of the list. And then, like I said, Warrior. As much heat as that causes in the locker room and out of it, whatever. He was definitely just somebody that, as a kid, I wanted to be. Somebody that caught my eye, and I said, wow, that's what a wrestler does and looks like. I want to be that.
Yeah, we actually had a Macho Man tribute show a few weeks back when he passed away, and we had some of our guests that. We have a couple indie wrestlers that are, fairly regular guests on our show calling. And, it seems like a lot of guys that are, early to mid-20s age that kind of grew up in that era. Everybody, I don't know if he wanted to be Macho Man, but he was a big influence for a lot of guys.
He was. His workability was, it's just out of this world, psychology, and, just the character itself was just something, captivating, you just see it and you almost want to live it yourself, That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, going back to your Tough Enough for, time for a minute, since Tough Enough has ended, have you heard anything from the WWE, maybe, FCW tryouts or anything like that?
No, I'm actually, in the process myself of just kind of following up, and staying in touch with everybody and kind of, hey, I'm still here, I'm around, I want to wrestle, I didn't give up, that kind of thing. So the problem is the good thing about it is, I learn a lot, and I'm looking, of course, hopefully to me the learning is a snowball effect. You just learn more and more and more as you get more under your belt, and in that light, I'm using, at this point, what I've learned from the show and that, and going out and working the independent, learning, getting to work with different guys and helping pass that on, explain why my thoughts are doing this or why I'm going to do this or whatever, and, also working with different guys, you can learn from them. But on the other hand, double-edged sword, I don't want to get stuck strictly where it's like, oh, well, he'd rather do independent than work for WWE, so we'll leave it at that, So, yeah. By no means am I out to just make, a lot of, I think anybody who gets into wrestling for the money has been lied to, because it's obviously not there. But, I'm not out trying to make a killing on paydays or anything for wrestling. Like, I'd much rather just work my butt off at FCW, for free, or even pay to do it, you know what I mean? And to, further my knowledge and my career and actually be going somewhere with it. So it's more like, to answer your question, just kind of me following up and trying to keep in touch and see really where my next step is for this. And in the meantime, just keep working and learning in that way, until I can get some headway on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys, especially, on the indie scene, even, guys who used to wrestle for WWE and stuff, who sometimes you're out to Japan for training and things of that nature. Is that something you've ever considered doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's another thing I probably should have mentioned is looking into the overseas, see what, if that's a good option, and kind of just trying to contact the right people and get the right answers, regarding that, if that makes sense. Not just kind of skipping town and missing out on some kind of an FCW opportunity, that kind of thing. So, but you're absolutely right. A lot of guys have gone, out of state and done that way, and by all means, I'm willing to do that too. So, just kind of jumping on whatever chance whatever I see I'm jumping on and riding,
going back to Tough Enough for a minute, I have another question that I thought of that I wanted to ask you. I've listened to several different interviews, listened to some of the different people from the show and some of their experiences and their thoughts, and kind of if you could kind of give us your behind the scenes just thoughts of what went on in the house. Because I've heard, I don't want to name names, but I've heard certain people were, very much there to party, and that's more what they were interested in. Certain people were, this, that. Kind of just your thoughts of life in the Tough Enough house.
Yeah, because I think in a lot of ways it wasn't. It's interesting because a lot of what went on in the house obviously wasn't shown. Pretty much to the degree it was portrayed on the way it was presented on television is what happened. I mean, you had to use anybody's name, let's see, Jeremiah and Luke definitely were the ones that really partied a lot, had a good time, whatever. Martin, absolutely awesome, laid back guy, he was cool. Matt, it was a shame he wasn't there longer because he's a heck of a character, dude. He just it's straight edge, doesn't drink or anything, but probably got the most just crazy, wacky personality, and he's, I remember Matt, the first couple weeks we were there before he had gotten sent home, he's like in the kitchen, like climbing the walls. I mean, he's a, gymnast and just like so athletic, and he's actually like making an obstacle course out of the kitchen just for fun. He knows we're sitting there talking, and, you're just sitting there holding a regular conversation, and Matt's like crawling the wall like Spider-Man behind you, and it's kind of funny. I got to hand it to everybody. They all worked their butts off pretty good hitting the gym when we weren't training in the ring and in the wrestling gym, Almost everybody had their time of day that they kind of hit the resistance, the weights and that. Ate pretty healthy, we just kind of chilled out in the hot tub. And he kind of, he kind of kept to himself, and he kept saying, just like he said on TV over and over, he's there to do a job. He was there to win. You know what? He won, so I got to hand it to him. He did what he did, and but he kind of kept to himself. He wasn't Mr. He didn't socialize a lot, but that's cool.
Well, you brought up Matt Cross. A lot of our listeners probably know him as MD20 on the Indies. When USA Network and WWE released the names of the people that were going to be on Tough Enough before you guys were introduced, I think a lot of people, that was a name that jumped off the paper because he's a fairly well-known independent worker. He's worked all over the world. Were you surprised, and did you think it kind of set a tone when he got eliminated as early as he did? Because I think a lot of people going in, at least on the outside looking in, kind of saw him as a favorite to win it because he had a little bit of a name and the experience he had.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, when I got there and first saw him, like I said, recognized him in a couple independent shows, knew the name, and I kind of saw him as a favorite. I thought, well, he's going to be, he's in great shape. He's awesome, probably out of all of us there, by far the best worker and most experienced, and does it full time. That's his job, and like I said, the experience to me is not only in years, but how much you work, and there it is, but definitely a little bit of a shock factor there when you got eliminated. Kind of almost kind of a statement, on the trainer's parts and that kind of thing. Not sure what it was. I'm not sure if that was necessarily good for the competition to get rid of him. I don't know if a statement is worth sacrificing, your competition. As I was there looking around, I thought, well, I'd rather have it be a strong competition and not be going against people that you're physically or workability or whatever is better or worse. Or, if you see yourself as even or good competition, then it makes for a good competition. So.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because there was three trainers most of the time, the consistent ones of Bill DeMott, Booker T, and Trish. What were the biggest differences between their training styles, and whose style do you think works best for you?
Okay, that's a good question. When we trained a lot, it kind of was set up almost like stations. You go to Bill, then you go to Booker, and then you go to Trish, and you could be in kind of groups or however it worked out. As far as the styles go, Bill did a lot with teaching. And this is total. Anybody that knows Bill or even just watched the show wouldn't doubt this for a minute. He was all about, putting you in a hold and making you, want to cry because like you're going to break your wrist or something. He's just, all about what is, I'm here to fight you. Don't be hokey. Don't do this. Like he worked a lot with the I want to say the chain wrestling, but also pins and that kind of stuff. You like. I'm trying to keep our little kayfabe deal, but like, I don't know what but pins and stuff like he's like, don't let the guy kick out, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. Get him in a submission hold. Don't let him, get out of it. The person has to learn how to work their way out of it or fight their way out of it, if that makes sense. So almost kind of like a little MMA session with Bill over there in his corner, As far as Booker goes, he would talk about, being larger than life, working. We'd be in the ring a lot with Booker as far as running the ropes and working spots and that kind of stuff. And, you grab a headlock and you show your face, and you work. He always worked with working the cameras, like I said, and also the body language, being larger than life and doing everything right and being safe in that way. And then Trish worked a lot with, we chained together. We'd be on the floor and by the ringside there and, chaining with each other and kind of working once again. She worked a lot with the facial expressions, and it was cool. She'd want to see your personality shine out in the moves that you're doing. Even though chain wrestling, nice and simple, whatever. She wants to see that flair. What makes you stand out, kind of come out in the little stuff like that, if that makes sense.
Going back into the real quick, you touched on the trainers. I as a kid growing up wrestling in the past few years, and I know a lot of our fans are probably the same way. Want to know this one? Does Trish look as good in person as she does on TV?
Oh man, hell yeah, yeah. She's no, she is. It's kind of a little bit of a distraction, I guess, when you're when you're there working your butt. Luckily for me, I guess I didn't really have the opportunity to distract her too much because I was getting yelled at too much. But I figured I didn't need anything else to be yelled at by. I didn't need her yelling at me for checking her out or something. So she was pretty cool with me the whole time, so I didn't want to get her on my bad side.
Nice. Let me ask you this: who was the last person you had words with before you departed from the Tough Enough show, and what was said to you?
Last person. Honestly, last person I had words with was Booker. I think it was filmed. It was put on that last episode that I was on. He ripped me up by my shirt, and during training, and said something about me rolling my eyes, which I didn't get. I still don't get. For all I know, he was talking about the midget basketball game the day before that, and didn't think I took it seriously or whatever. But that was the last person. As far as any heat in the house, Luke and I had a little bit of we didn't get along the best in the house. In fact, on most days I could probably tolerate Mike over him. But for some reason that day, him and I didn't really have anything to say to each other. We just kind of shook hands, went in there and said, whoever goes home goes home. And unfortunately, it was me that elimination. But
yeah. Just kind of curious there because sometimes it's almost like when you are leaving a certain job, they may say, hey, good luck, and kind of give you a tip or something like that. So I wasn't sure if maybe one of the trainers kind of gave you a tip for the future, or maybe kind of keep telling you, keep your head in the game. You'll get there if you really want it.
You know what? In that light, I didn't know when you said had words. I assumed you meant, like when you're leaving a job, you get that one guy that never likes you and decides to tell you. But and then you punch him and you're leaving anyway, so what the hell, right?
Right.
But no, as far as anybody pulling me aside and having some positive words, definitely Steve Austin. Like, he was the last person I talked to. I believe he said on camera as well, he said, see you down the road, and then later, he just shook my hand And people ask a lot, was there, what happened off camera, this and that. We had cameras on us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter what, all the time. Even when we were sleeping, there was cameras in our faces. So there's no off-camera correspondence, but after the elimination, he came up to me again and just said, hey, kid, I really, he said he'd see me down the road. He truly believes that, because I had actually initially told him that, told him he'd give me a lecture earlier in the competition on trying to be a shark. So, I told him it's time to be a shark and, kind of worry about me and do what I got to do to make it here, and I'll see you backstage one day. And he just told me he doesn't doubt that one bit, and he knows he'll see me. So, and then, of course, if there's anything I can do, you give me, just contact him and see. So, pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, I think the one thing that a lot of people who may not have won the competition have in their favor is a lot of the guys, whether it's Tough Enough or NXT, it seems like a lot of people who maybe didn't win, a lot of times they bring back, and sometimes they put more behind that person than they did the person who actually won.
Yeah, they had more
stuff. Yes. And that's, to me, once again, there's that double-edged sword to it. In one way, historically speaking, there's been tough enough guys that never won and made it way further than the guy that won, had a bigger push and whatever. On the other hand, I know this one's been presented as kind of a different animal, a little bit more serious, and if they want to really hold that tough enough name as strong, then I could see them not, wanting to have too many people from the show that didn't win come and challenge the winner, because, in theory, it wouldn't hold that name so strong then, or it wouldn't have so much merit for the tough enough name then. But, on the other hand, we did all bust our butt, and I think everybody on that show most everybody had something to offer to a little special. So, like I said, it's a matter of following up on our own now and seeing what we can do, letting them know we want it.
I want to ask you before we do run out of time, if you want to talk about some upcoming appearances you have, let everybody know where they may be able to catch you live.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually don't have my calendar in front of me, but off the top of my head, we were working in this Tuesday. I'm in Marion, Indiana, at a fair, which is pretty cool. It should be a big one, and they're expecting a lot. So, like I said, that's Marion, Indiana, and you can check it out. Wednesdays, I'm working at OVW in Louisville, which is where I live. I'll be there this Wednesday, and I'll be on TV. I think they run their TV on Saturdays, and, of course, you can catch it online. Thursday, I'll be at NWA Main Event in Nashville, Tennessee. And then this weekend, we'll be in the Charleston, West Virginia area. We'll go down to, we're in Ohio. Man, there's all kinds of stuff going on. I tell you what.
Do you have a website or
I was just going to say, for any detailed dates, shows, that kind of thing, check out my Facebook. Just look up Ryan Howe. Be under there. And, I'm real good with keeping up with it. And anybody has any questions, send me messages. I always try to message back. So
very cool. We appreciate it.
And sorry about being
no worries, man. No worries.
Like time zones are messing with me, brother. We got to figure this out.
No worries, man.
All right. It's all good. It's great having you on. Hey, would you mind doing a drop tonight for the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour?
Yeah, absolutely. What's up, Rebel Rockers? You are listening to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. This is Ryan Howe. I'm rocking the show, and you better stay tuned, and don't call me Skidmarks.
Awesome, dude. Thanks so much for that.
Thank you.
So we thank you for being our guest on the show tonight, and we'll definitely stay tuned on your upcoming appearances, and hopefully soon, man, we'll see you in a WWE ring, and that'll definitely be amazing.
That's the goal. You guys keep an eye out, and definitely keep in touch, okay?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Great to have you on the show down the road.
All right,
absolutely.
Great. Thank you, guys, and we'll talk to you later, okay?
All right, Ryan, take care, man. Thanks again.
All right, you too. Good night, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks a lot.
All right, that was Ryan Howe on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. Great interview, old school man. As we normally get down, we only bring you the best on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour.
Yeah, man. We started off the show a little rocky with the technical difficulties, and some problems continued with Ryan being a little bit late, getting mixed up with time zones. But all in all, as we always do, I think we pulled through. I think it was a great show. We learned a lot about Tough Enough, which is kind of cool to kind of hear the behind the scenes of it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. As well as, just kind of getting into, who are some of the, the biggest influences and things of that nature there. It's always interesting to kind of see, who really inspired people to get into the wrestling business. I mean, it's a lot of the same guys. We hear the names over and over again, like Savage and HBK, and those are truly, some of the best guys. And you don't hear too many people mention Hogan.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, actually. You just kind of read my mind. I was going to say, it's kind of the mark of somebody's legacy when you ask some of these younger guys, well, what really made you come in? And, Savage and HBK are the two that we keep hearing more than anything. And I think that kind of says something, that those two are, Hogan is a legend. He is what he is. But, you don't hear Hogan as much because, for whatever reason. I know I myself growing up, I was a huge, and still to some degree, I'm a huge HBK fan. I think that's a big indicator of someone's legacy. They helped mold, shape, or influence the younger generation.
Exactly. So, big thanks to all of our fans who kind of stuck with us tonight. The show definitely went a little over our normal slot of 10 o'clock, but technically, if you really break it down, we really got a good hour in of talking to Ryan as well as our wrestling banter back and forth about Capital Punishment, TNA, and all the other wrestling news that we covered this evening. Yeah, absolutely. And especially if you catch the archive, we will go ahead and kind of maybe edit some of that down. All in all, definitely a great show tonight. So we thank you all for sticking with us and listening. And next week, we're not going to do a show. We're going to be off next week, but we will be back the week after, which I believe we'll be in July at that point, Guy. Let me double check the old calendar here. Yep, that will be looks
that
like
might be 4th of July weekend.
Oh, it is 4th of July weekend. Well, we'll see how it goes, bud. We'll definitely, we're going to play it by ear right now in case there's any plans that we haven't discussed yet. So stay tuned. Check us out on Twitter. Do Your Job, _routine J.O.B. Also, be our fan on Facebook at the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. Make sure you get those periods between J.O.B. And tune in to Raw tomorrow night as your humble host, the ConKaiserdor, will be live on Raw. So don't forget, set those DVRs. You don't want to miss it. Old School, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'll be looking for my signs. They'll be live at Raw, not on. Don't mislead the people. I'll be looking for my signs.
I will have a sign that says Old School Avis Hathaway eats ass.
How about Old School is a jobber? Old School Avis Hathaway is
definitely a jobber. Definitely.
I want that sign on Raw.
Hathaway and the ConKaiserdor. We say goodnight.